Do you guys know what's more evil than dropping the previous episode on Father's Day? It's the fact that this episode skipped the opening for extra content while they kept the ending. You know, the same ending which shows Rudy and Sylphie's journey and being happy together. They really decided to show this to us after what happened in this episode. And the funniest part is the fact that this is the first episode this season where they skipped the opening instead of the ending like Turning Point 3 and the previous episode. I refuse to believe this wasn't intentional. But yeah, leave it up to Mushoku Tensei to drop one of its most divisive episodes right after an emotional gut punch like the previous one. It honestly wouldn't be a complete Mushoku Tensei season without at least one episode that's gonna give more ammunition to the haters who most likely haven't even watched a single episode. And for this second part of season 2, Rudy cheating on Sylphie seems to be just that moment. At this point, I'm just preparing myself to see haters ignore all the context and blame Rudius for everything. But as much as I'm willing to defend the series from haters, I definitely have some mixed thoughts about this episode as an anime only. And rest assured guys, my issues with the episode are probably not what you're expecting and definitely not what the haters are gonna be mad about. So, let's dive into my thoughts on this episode. The episode starts with Rudy thinking back to his past life as he's wondering what he's gonna do now after basically losing both of his parents. This was definitely my favorite part of the episode, and it just solidifies the fact that whenever we see an old Rudy flashback, it's about to be a peak moment. I love that Rudy is starting to regret how he lived his previous life the more he experiences the highs and lows of life in this new world. Around the time he met Nanahoshi, he basically had no regrets about his previous life, and now he's slowly starting to wonder what would have happened if things went differently. First by seeing Norn managing to deal with her emotions and relying on her brother instead of ignoring him like old Rudius did. And now, regretting the fact that he's made the same mistake all over again. A mistake that he's not gonna have a magical third chance to fix. He got a second chance to appreciate his parents and family this time around, but wasted it thinking that he's not their real son and trying to convince himself that he doesn't care about them. And my favorite moment of the episode is when Rudy realizes that even though he didn't think of himself as Paul's son, he was still a real father to him. He thought of Rudy as his own son with no strings attached, unlike Rudius, and died trying to protect him with a smile on his face. This moment definitely hit me hard. And now we have the controversial part of the episode. After seeing that Rudy has been depressed for a while, Roxy comes into the room thinking that she has to help him. She first tries normal methods such as asking him to step out and at least go for a walk or something, but after that, she straight up locks the door and you know what's about to happen. Rudy at least tries to resist, but ultimately, he ends up cheating on Sylphie. I know I'm kinda oversimplifying the situation because Rudy was at one of the lowest points in his life and Roxy pretty much took advantage of him. But I believe that he does share some blame because he didn't even try to tell Roxy that he's already married. Now, I believe that this cheating part and what comes later is what most people are gonna be mad about. But to be honest, this is not my issue with the episode at all. We're almost 50 episodes into the series and I already set aside my morality on the very first episode. The thing I don't like is not the moment itself, but it's when this moment happens. While I was watching this episode, it felt like a single night with Roxy was all it took for Rudy to get over Paul's death, and that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, especially after just how tragic the previous episode was. I thought that we were going to spend the whole episode seeing just how depressed Rudy is and slowly losing the will to live, with the Roxy moment happening at the end of the episode. I was already spoiled on what Roxy was gonna do, and I was prepared for it. But the fact that it happened 5 minutes into the episode kind of ruins the impact of Paul's death for me. I heard that this episode had a lot of cut content, so maybe it's the adaptation's fault, but it was honestly one of my least favorite moments in the entire series. Next up, I actually really liked the moment with Lilia and Zenith. I was pretty neutral on Lilia for the whole show, but I really liked her in this episode. Also, it seems like Zenith has permanently lost her memories, but the fact that they said it's impossible honestly makes me feel like she is gonna recover her memories at some point. Roxy's confession was pretty cute, but sadly, this episode has kinda made me dislike her. I definitely don't hate her, but I think that she's gonna be my least favorite starter Pokemon from now on. I did appreciate her acknowledging that she took advantage of Rudy and being completely honest though. Alina Lee's telling Rudy to marry Roxy kinda soured my opinion of her as well. Once again, I don't hate her, but I don't like that she seemingly doesn't care for Sylphie. And I'm also not a huge fan of the fact that she was the one who suggested for polygamy. I would have liked it if Sylphie was the one who told Rudy to marry Roxy after they come clean and tell her what happened and how they feel about each other. But yeah, it seems like Rudy has finally captured Squirtle and became a dual wielder in the process. And now, Charmander's next on the menu. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and leave a comment if you disagree with anything I said. I would love to have a discussion about the episode with you guys. And finally, let me know how you felt about the episode and how it was adapted, especially if you are a light novel reader. With all that being said though, have a nice rest of your day and hopefully see you guys in my next video.